Hi friends, this is Meg at Chasing Retro, and I am going to show you a couple of books today that I think should be added to your BOLO list. BOLO stands for Be on the Lookout, and I'm using the hashtag BOLO and linking to the host of this collaboration, who is Angela the Traveling Crafter. She's the one that came up with this idea, and I think it's fantastic. It's a way to flip through books that we have found that can be cut up and used into our journals, such as a vintage children's book, or also books such as this one that are more instructional / inspirational, maybe to have on hand as a reference and a guide and a how-to manual of sorts. So I'm going to show you two today. One of them I own. I found at a used bookstore, this one. The other one is a library book, but I plan on purchasing the book to have in my stash after I return it to the library, because I have realized that it's such a valuable resource, and the second book's applications are much broader than junk journaling, and I'll show you that in a minute. So this is a book called Designing with Fabric. When I first saw it and saw that it had a pinking sheer edge to it, I just thought that was the cutest and most brilliant thing ever. I bought this at a used bookstore near me. I know this is a chain, but I don't know if you have these near you. Their prices are usually a little high, but I have found some very unique and interesting books at this store. It is paperback. It is not very thick, but it is packed full of information on how to use fabric in scrapbooks, which for us can be applicable to junk journals. Let's see if I can find a publication date. It is written by, I don't know, it's a combination of several different designers and influencers, I guess. Let's see if it has a editor name. Copyright 2004 by Autumn Leaves. I don't know if that was a magazine. Let's see. Publisher Autumn Leaves, and then it just has creative director and photographer. So I guess it's more of a maker's showcase type of book rather than just one author. So basically, like I said, this is written with scrapbooks in mind. 2004 was near the end of the peak of the scrapbooking era, but I think not long after that is when junk journals started coming onto the scene. So this is just ways to use fabric, and in my case, I'm excited because it's ways to use small, tiny scraps of fabric that I have, and I'm sort of running out of creative ways to use them on my page layouts and as embellishments. This one right here looks like fabric buttons in a way, little circles cut with pinking shears, a little stitched inner border, and then maybe holes punched with an awl and some twine or string brought through them to look like tied buttons. That's cute. This one actually has a clear button sewn or pulled through with the thread, and this one looks like it too. But some of them are just fabric, and some of them aren't pinking. Actually, some of this on top of some of these looks like a circle of vellum. That's kind of cool. So I think a lot of these, let me say this before I start flipping, a lot of these ideas are gorgeous and amazing. However, I think for many of us, they're going to be very tedious and time consuming. So when I bought this book, I mainly had it in mind as ways to creatively use fabric on the outside of a journal, like the topper, the final piece that sort of crowns your journal with beauty, and that way it will get more visibility. You could certainly put things like this and spend time making things like this to put on every page in your journal, and that's your decision to do that. If I only made journals for myself and didn't make them to share with everyone else in my shop, I would probably do that. But of course, that would slow down your work even more, as far as like how proficient you are in getting things out. But this is, I'm just going to flip through this. I may offer some commentary here and there, but Look at this. This is a really cute way to use. I have a box of just little paper scraps that are rectangle and triangle and square shape. You can just take a manila tag, layer them with bits of ribbon and fabric, and just sew straight down. And I think that's creative. This is a stamped piece of like a muslin tie or a not twine. You know, the things, okay, when you get like a new pillow, a new sheet set, and they have this stuff tied around it, I save that, and you can stamp on it and things like that. This is just a great way to use, and it's almost like a fabric sample card. And look, they've got a paint chip on this one too. This is a sewing themed one. I love that. A great way to use embroidery floss. They even have a straight pin stuck in there. I don't know that I would do that, but baby one. Here's one with a little button on here. A little bow made out of lace. Pretty cool. And this is the table of contents, which I also thought was very creative. All right, this is talking about a papery. So I guess this is marketed more as a scrapbook with mixed media branch offs. I don't know why they have two lamps beside each other, but that's kind of pretty. This is some, looks like book page wrapped hangers. I don't know why you would do that, but it looks nice on display. If you had a little shop or a little booth where you're selling your journals. This looks like just a fun box of goodies. Pinking shears to cut around to make a fabric tag with printing. I guess that's an invitation for a shower, which is kind of cool. It's called a wedding gift box. Okay, here are some scrapbook layouts and covers. Let's see, is this fabric? Yes, it is. Draw a design onto cardstock, then glue thin twine to the design. When dry, adhere another piece of cardstock on top and emboss with a popsicle stick. So they made their own embossing folder, sort of, to sort of wrap around. I don't know how they did it without any creases. That's insane to me. And they did a letter as well. And then when that's dry, lift it off and then follow the curve with a sewing machine. Like I said, this is extremely tedious, but the results are very striking, especially if you want to reserve something like this for the cover of a journal. This one, it looks like fabric or paper pieces that have holes and eyelets or grommets throughout, and then they have, looks like some sort of silk ribbon to make it look like it's being held together, almost like a tent form, you know? These colors are also very early 2000s. This is interesting. This would be too bulky for, I think, the inside of a journal, but just long strips of fabric with knots tied at the ends and adhered down in a row. And then the topper on top of that. That's kind of cool. Little tiny tags that are stamped. These look like cutout, like fabric with cutouts, and then little words and fabric triangles, beads, and ribbon, which is interesting. This says to print scanned paper and a definition onto sheer organza. I don't know who in the world has a printer that can print on organza, but kudos to you if you have that. This looks like a strip of organza that's been ironed in a accordion type fashion and put down. Machine stitch fabric and ribbon around a photo. What is this? This looks like dried flowers, maybe underneath some sort of sheer chiffon or something, and then sewed around. That's interesting. Another stamped quote there. Look at these little whimsical dolls Little fabric dolls, corkscrew hair made with zigzag stitch on the machine. Just a little paper applique, really. Very primitive looking. Okay, here's a cutout of an S in fabric, and then this looks like tea-dyed lace is wrapped around this and tucked under the photograph. A little pocket. We make these pockets out of paper, but you can make one out of thick fabric like denim. And that looks like a photo slide. Lots of stamping on fabric, I'm noticing. Fabric covered buttons with a little tab, that's cute. So it looks like just some sheer ribbons, very thin ribbons pulled up underneath the photograph and then tied at the top and secured to the edges of the journal. Cute kid. Embellish several layers of canvas with image transfers, ribbon, trim, fabric, and beads. So this is like thick canvas or duck cloth. That would be used as the cover of a journal, I guess. Yeah, sort of a notebook or notepad enclosure. You know, these things are for sale on Etsy. The first thing I made before I even knew what junk journals were, I made a fabric sort of portfolio for a Moleskine journal one year. This is like a piece of embroidery, not embroidery, what's the word I'm looking for? Upholstery fabric right there. That's interesting. It's like sort of ring bound, but not. These are very manly looking, I think. Like a tag book, that's cute. Just a little applique spelling out of the word journal with various ways to make the letters. That's really creative. Look, little hook and eyes just sewn down. And here the hook and eyes are holding a label. A safety pin with a little number charm, more charms. Interesting. I've seen journals with this on the cover, sort of a corset tie. That's pretty cool. For a princess journal, that would be amazing. Here's those little things that we love to use as dangles. You could, I guess, coffee dye them and tack them in. That's neat. Adhere fusible interfacing to wrong side of fabric, cut fabric into wavy strips, layer the strips. So basically sort of weaving, like a paper weave, but with fabric. I've yet to use interfacing in my journals. I don't know if I want to embark on that or not, but I guess for sturdiness you would want to. Maybe if you're making it as the entire cover, but for just a design on top, I probably wouldn't do that step. This is very kind of like a wavy patchwork. I like that a lot. I would honestly go back and sew between each one if that were mine. This is cool. It's a flip up. We have some grommets here with some chain and then fabric pieces that you can flip up that have different themes. And I guess a photograph would be on each. This is like layered fabric flowers, not really symmetrical at all, just kind of whimsically drawn flowers. That's cute. Here's some snaps. That's kind of neat. And this is a photo frame of a bride. I guess those are different elements of her dress, lace and such. Here's a heart that's covered in white buttons. That's cute. I've seen people do that before. This looks like let's see, dip cheesecloth in Kool-Aid. Okay, so we've done that before. And then you make a flower by cutting shapes of petals out, and then is stitched across the bottom to secure, so it looks kind of like a boutonniere. And then there's sheer, very sheer fabric that's sort of folded once, sewn down as the backdrop. That's very pretty. Look at this. Lots of different layers, typed out words, little paper flower, little fringe. This looks like a flower made with satin petals, like a chiffon top, and then buttons in the center of the flower. And this looks like chiffon that's been tightly rolled. I don't know how they secured it. Tied knots and a strip of material for the trim. Okay, so it's just tied knots. That's cute for the stem. And then this looks like commercially bought trim. Just a little square of tulle with a brad and a ribbon. How cute is that? I hope there's not a glare. Looks like haberdashery flowers here, and some old sort of trinkets sort of tacked down with some velvet ribbon and elastic. It looks like that elastic stuff you make hair wraps with. Here's a crystal. So this was definitely not, this would be a cover. You couldn't close the journal if this was a page. Little tiny snippets of cardboard with thread wrapped around it. That's creative. Grandma's trunk. What a pretty picture. That's beautiful. It's like a patchwork cover, and then it has one of those, I forgot what these are called, frog, are these frog closures sewn on. Diagonal stripes is a combination of fabric strips, ribbon, and decorative stitches. Look at that. And then little bows tied down and snaps. Here's the inside of that other book. I love this free motion stuff. Look at that face. Okay, this is cool. It's like a folded, oh, it's a napkin. Folded in 4 corners, stitches added for contrast. Very cool. This is quilted together. A sunshine made with fabric and paper strips and trim. That's cute. Okay, I have to see how this is made. Smock taffeta to the front of the book. Okay, if you know how to smock, this one's for you. That's cool though. It's just gathered puckers there, sewn down. And I love taffeta, anything. And then it's closed. That's cool. It's closed with just the very thin satin ribbon pulled through a button. And if you can see inside, there's more little randomly, slanted ribbons and things with words on them. Oh, sorry about that, guys. This is like a shadow box with a child's dress and shoes. That's really cute. Oh, this is how to make this. This is just more, it's that waffle weave material, a button, a little charm, I guess a wire is pulled through the button to hold the charm. Little pieces of flannel that has pins. They like to use straight pins in this thing, don't they? Little tiny diaper looking pouch. Her name is spelled out with slow stitching. It says thumbs up. The T and the U are stamped, and this is sewn. And here's a curtain with pictures on it. Wow, they actually put the onesie on the front of the journal. That's cool. I have some vintage baby clothes, and I was wondering if I could pull that off. That's really neat. That'd have to be a big book, though. And I love how they've woven the ribbons together. Chenille, maybe? Is that chenille? Weave background using chenille and torn cotton. So it's woven. It's another woven piece. A little denim with applique alphabet here. Cut circles from fabric, attach to cardstock for stability. Stitch a spiral on each circle. And this looks like a chenille. It's fuzzy. And then use foam squares under for dimension. That's creative. That'd be really hard to do, though. Having your sewing machine moving that much to have it continuously curve, that'd be hard. I like this applique style. Cute little denim belt buckle loops. That's cute. Little pocket with things in it. That is cute. So little things that kids pick up outside, I guess. Look at that. A jean pocket, a front pocket. This is so cute. Ways to use pockets. A little flag made with buttons and ticking. There's actual rocks on this one. I don't know how they adhered them, but that's neat. Interesting, kind of like letterpress letters that are sewn down. A little belt looking thing. Leather. They used rope on this one. Little rivets, or nail heads rather. Little frames. Oh, that's cool. Shadow box for a soldier. Here's a necktie. Interesting. They sewed the picture down with little threads and put arrows in it. More pieced fabric flowers. I never get tired of those. Some tweed. Just cover a book with cloth and decorate with little squares of fabric. Very simple. More collaging. Beaded wire made into circles to make bubbles. That's really intense. I love this one. Shrink ribbon according to directions on page 68. I guess they show you how. Tuck mini journaling strips into ribbon loops. Okay, so this is a floral napkin that's been decoupaged. I love these raw silk bows. Oh my goodness. This is sweet. It's a doily behind this picture of this little lady. I love that. That's very farm looking. Just using little pink and sheared fabric squares as a base for your tags. That's a cute idea. They layered tags onto this page as the background. Little argyle, that's cute. It's a journal that unfolds like a satchel, I guess. Interesting. Here's an art portfolio. I know people make these too. I've seen them on Etsy. Wow, they like made their own batik fabric with the words and the date. That's impressive. That's cool. I love this. It's so simple but so beautiful. Really pretty applique there, or some sort of lace, embroidered lace. Pillows. Using music paper as a backdrop, layers of that mixed with some pink and a measuring tape on top with the date. That's creative. This looks like a memo board to me. Oh wow, look at that lampshade. It's a dress made out of paper. How cute. Well, this might be fabric, but this is paper, like the paper of the sewing pattern tacked down with some fabric buttons. Here's some rickrack, y'all. Surprised we haven't seen that till now. Oh wow, here's the rickrack. Look at that. I don't know that I'd want to use that much rickrack on one page. That's really cool though. I love this idea. That's a great way to use seam binding and bias tape. Really cool. I love that too. I love the sewing pattern in the background, and then it kind of looks like you're laying out a pattern. And look at all the buttons. I wonder if those are glued down. It just says affixed buttons, so they might have used glue. Here's those fabric rough buttons again, and all the artists that are in here. Okay, so this is called Designing with Fabric. The next one is the library book that I plan to purchase, and it is about cut paper pictures. So sort of the Ezra Jack Keats style of art, or Leo Leone. Basically, it shows how to create painted papers first. The imagery in here is just beautiful to look at. It gives tips like on how to, after you paint your papers, how to weight them down so that when they're dry, they're not curling up, because that makes them harder to work with. How to color papers, how to store your scraps by color, usually, I guess. Inspiration from nature. And then just here's like a basic on how to do cut paper collages or piecing. And then here's different themes. So the first chapter is flowers and plants, and it shows you the types of background papers you'll need and the shapes to cut them in before you start. And then it shows you how to arrange them. Is that not so cool? I think this would be awesome as a journal topper, some sort of image created like this. In fact, I may have to try this. If it works out, that might be something I top 1 or 2 of the 80s journals with. I'm not sure. I have to decide on toppers for the fabric journals. I love this. I love the hydrangea with the, you know how sometimes they'll have those rusty leaves kind of mixed in with the colors. I love the fact that the background is painted, brush painted, and then they put the flowers on top. That's beautiful enough to frame, in my opinion. I love that. And see, some of their papers are translucent. You can layer like that, like tissue papers. Leaves, greenery, different shapes of leaves, autumn leaves. And see, some of these are book pages that they've painted over with words. Is this not the coolest book? I love it. These just look very 60s, you know, like the type of plants that you would see in a children's book from that era. Oh, look, vegetables. So fun. Birds and bugs. Some of these, like the legs and the antenna, she drew on with pastels or crayons. These butterflies are epic. So cool. A budgie. Ooh, houses. I didn't know this was in here. I haven't gotten this far in my flipping through. So you can make brick type patterns. Oh, that's so cool. So cool. Look at the little people. This entire thing is cut paper. This looks like a black and white photograph of a shrub or something that they cut those out of. Oh, I love the splatter paint. Look at the little mocha pot. Kitty cat. This is so amazing. The book has words in it. Nasturtiums. Forget-me-not. I like the pansies too in these. People. Oh, how to do lettering. This is a little bit, I don't think I would ever be patient enough to do this, but I guess for a piece of framed art maybe, but not for a junk journal page. These are so cool. You could make up a bunch of these ahead of time and glue them down onto, you know, white cardstock and then cut around them and just have them to pull from for embellishments. Landscape elements, clouds and rocks and things. I think this is what was on the cover. This is gorgeous. It's all paper. That looks like crepe. That is so cool. Wow. Can you imagine making a picture of your house like that for framing? Ratatouille. Maps. That's creative. Scottish Highlands. Look at that. Oh, wow. The clouds are epic. This is fun. That'd be beautiful as the cover of a fall-themed journal. Oh, my word. Love this. Every single page in this book is drool-worthy. I'm telling you, it is going to be, I'm going on Thrift Books later today to find one, or at least put a hold, like a favorite hold on one. Look, there are pages in the back you can cut out and use. I did not know that either. I literally just looked through the first 10 pages and set it aside and said, okay, this is going on a BOLO video. So amazing. Look, little hatch marks made with pen. Okay, y'all, get this book or find it at your library. Clover Robin is the name of the artist, or author-artist. Clover Robin, and it's published by Rock Point, which is in New York. Okay, 2018. Thanks for joining me today for BOLO. Again, this is hosted by Angela the Traveling Crafter. I will link her channel. See you soon, guys.